welcome to my channel. In case you're new here, my name is Lorena and I love to share my recipes with you. And if you've been here before, then hello again. Today we're going to make an apple strudel. There are two reasons why we're making apple strudels today. One of them is because I really love apple desserts, and the other reason is that I've had a bunch of comments from you guys that you want to learn how to make this, starting from the dough. As a side note, I want to say that I have no heritage from Germany or Vienna, so this is not my recipe, especially the dough, and I got it from a blog called Lil Vienna. So I'll leave their link below if you want to see their recipe. I am, however, making lots of changes to the filling. We're going to make some twists that I really like to make to things that have apples in them. So for example, a traditional recipe would have breadcrumbs spread over the dough before rubbed up, but I'm going to swap that for toasted walnuts, and then I'm going to blitz them really fine, just like breadcrumbs. As always, if you want to see the full recipe, then all you need to do is click on the link in the description box below or on the eye above me, and that will take you to the blog where you will find lots more recipes. Also remember that if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it already. I'm now going to make this apple strudel, so if you want to see how it's done, then keep on watching this video. I'm going to start with the dough because it needs to rest for an hour before we use it, and so in that hour we're going to put ourselves to work in the filling. So I already have here my flour and salt. I also have some vegetable oil, some lukewarm water, and also some vinegar. The lukewarm water and the vinegar is to help the gluten, which is a mix of proteins inside flour, to be more elastic. Make a hole in the center of the flour and the salt, and that's where we add our lukewarm water, the oil, and also the vinegar. Mix it in with a spatula first, just so you don't make a mess with your hands, and then once it's incorporated thoroughly, you can put your hands in and finish it off. All we're doing right now is mixing it in properly until you have a nice and even dough. Finish it off by kneading it on the table without any flour. Okay, so now my dough is completely nicely mixed in. It's looking really pretty. And now all we have to do is develop the gluten, because right now what we're getting is a bit of an elasticity, but we need it to be really elastic. And for that, what we're going to do is a technique that I also like to use with bread, which is we're going to slam it against the table, and that's going to serve for you if you're really stressed out. So all we have to do is like this, and then we fold it and repeat. And you gather anything that is left behind, you just repeat it, slam it, and that is going to help you develop the gluten that is inside the flour. And we're going to do this for about 10 minutes or until we see that it's nice and elastic. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell, but it's already much more elastic than it was before. I've been doing this for a good 10 minutes now, and I think I need about 5 more, so it's gonna be 15 minutes just to make sure that it's completely elastic, and it's going to allow us to make a really fine dough for the strudel. Okay, so now my dough is done. It's really nice and elasticy. So now I've got just the tiniest bit of oil in there just to put the dough inside so it doesn't dry out. And then I'm going to brush some oil on top, and it's going to rest there for an hour covered with a kitchen cloth at room temperature. It's very important that you rest it at room temperature so it doesn't lose the elasticity that we've put into it. But if you want to make it the day before, then you can put it in the fridge. You can store it up to 3 days. And you do have to let it come back to room temperature before you use it. So we're back and we're going to make the filling, and as you can see I changed over to a ponytail because my hair wanted to escape my head for some reason. So the first thing we need to do is rehydrate our raisins. Mine were really tough, actually like rocks. They sound like rocks. So what I did is I put some boiling water on top of them and let them rest for about 10 minutes. And as you can see, they're nice and soft now. They're mushable. And before they were like really tough. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm toasting my walnuts that are behind me there. And I'm going to toast them for about 10 minutes at 180, just until I can smell that they smell like popcorn. And I'm going to use that instead of the breadcrumbs that are usually used in the strudel, just to make it a bit different. I also have some apples here. They're about 950 grams, I think. And these need to be peeled and also cored. And as we do that, we're going to add some lemon juice to them just to make sure that they don't go dark. I also have some cinnamon sugar here, which is going to go half to the apples and the other half to the walnuts and the butter that is already in the process of melting. My walnuts are now very nicely toasted, and so we're going to chop them up very finely. Now if you have a food processor, which I also have, you can do it over there, but I just wanted to show you that you don't actually need any extra gadgets to achieve this. We're now going to mix them in with the melted butter that we did previously, and we're going to add half our sugar and cinnamon mix. Now for the apples, like I said, we're going to peel them and core them. And for me, the easiest way to do this is cut them in half, then cut them in 4, and cut diagonally just to remove the core all at once. That's just the way that I find it's easiest for me. Now we need to slice it, and I would say don't make it any smaller than 4 or 5 slices per quarter of apple, because we do want to feel the texture of the apple instead of a compote. As you do this, put a bit of lemon juice and toss them around just to make sure they don't go brown. Okay, so now I have the apples. As you can see, they're nice and white from the lemon. We have the cinnamon sugar that we didn't use for this, which is our walnuts, and so it's going to go on top of this. But before that, I'm also going to add some salt to this, just a tiny pinch to balance it out. Okay. And also some to here to balance out the sweetness from the apples. And the sugar, of course. Okay, so now it's time to roll out our dough. I'm just going to take a bit of flour and dust lightly my table. I'm also going to put some on top just to make sure that it doesn't stick. And we're going to roll it out first with our rolling pin. Like so. Make sure you gather the flour, bit of flour on top. Just making sure that it doesn't stick. Okay, so now we have it quite thin. Of course, it's not as thin as we want it for the strudel, but it is quite thin. And so now we're going to stretch it on top of some cloths. The reason I'm using some cloths is that this will help us roll it out afterwards. Traditionally, it's made with a tablecloth, but I don't own one, so I thought this would be useful for anyone like me who doesn't own a tablecloth. So we're going to stretch it very carefully. If you have long nails, only use the back of your hands to stretch it out. And if you have another person to help you out, then you can certainly do it even faster. So as you can see, you can almost now see through the pattern of the cloth that is underneath. So this is very good. You need to be careful to not make it any wider than the baking tray that you're going to use to bake your strudel. And also if you have any small tears, don't worry about it because we'll take care of them afterwards. Okay, so now I think I've stretched it out enough. We have these thick edges, which is completely normal, and we're going to chop them off. And this is also really normal when you're starting to stretch. So we're going to cut around just to take out those thick edges. And it's with this though that we're going to patch up our holes. So we just take it and stretch it out and then put it on top. So now we're going to cover half of this with butter and the other half with the walnuts that we have here. So as you can see, I spread out the walnuts on one side, leaving about 3 to 4 centimeters each side just to make sure that we can cover the filling before rolling it out. Then we put the apples on top and make sure that they're nice and tightly fit together so that it makes it easier to roll out, and finish off with the raisins that we rehydrated before. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you that you could rehydrate these raisins with some rum or a liquor of your choice. I think that amaretto will also work very, very nicely. So now comes the tricky part. We're going to roll this and finish rolling it onto here with the seam underneath. So we'll see how that goes. So like I said before, you fold it in a bit from the sides. And then, of course, as you roll it out, you'll have to adjust the edges just to make sure that nothing's coming out of them. As you can see, it's pretty simple. You just roll it out and then onto the other cloth. You can use your hands to adjust the filling and put it into the place that you want it to be. And finally, you just roll it out onto the baking tray. Once it's on top of the baking paper, because it's very slippery, it's easy to push it over and make sure that the seam is underneath. We finish it off with some butter and it goes into the oven at 180 Celsius for about 30 minutes or until you see that it's nice and golden. Halfway through, we're going to take it out and also butter it once again just to make sure that it's really nice and golden. And if you see that the top is caramelizing a bit too fast, then you might want to put a bit of tin foil on top. I was really astounded with the result. I loved this recipe. That was my strudel recipe. I really hope you liked it. If you did like it, don't forget to put thumbs up to this video. It makes me really happy. Also, if you make this recipe or any other recipe from the blog, make sure to send it to me or post it and tag me on it because I really love to see what you cook. I'm trying to post recipes every Thursday and Sunday, so if you don't want to miss any of them, then I recommend that you subscribe to my channel. It's free and only one click away. You can also follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook as Cravings Journal. And I particularly recommend Instagram because I post a lot of Instagram stories of things that I cook and things that I like. Thank you so much for watching this video and see you next time.